Today I am sharing 6 dump and go easy minimal ingredient slow cooker recipes with you. Whether you're on the run in the morning and you just want to dump your ingredients into your slow cooker, or you just want a warm, cozy, delicious dinner at night, these recipes are for you. I can't wait to share them with you. Let's get to my kitchen and let's go slow cook. To kick us off today, we are making my most favorite slow cooker lasagna soup ever. So to a pan on the stove, add a pound of Italian sausage, or you could use any like ground meat or meat substitute you like. Just break it up and cook it through. Now that your sausage is cooked through, you don't want your soup to have excess grease in it. So just remove any excess grease from your sausage. I'm just wiggling a paper towel around in there until, it's absorbed. I found that paper towel trick just really works super well. But just add your sausage into your slow cooker along with 24 ounces of pasta sauce. Then you're going to add in 1 tablespoon of minced garlic along with 28 ounces of crushed tomatoes and then 4.5 cups of beef broth. You're also adding in 2 tablespoons of Italian seasoning and some salt and pepper. Just give this a super duper good stir, and you're going to cook this on low for about 6 hours. Technically, nothing needs to cook through since nothing is basically raw in this, but the reason why we are cooking it on low for so long is just so the flavors merge together, and it's just going to be extra flavorsome in the end, just with those flavors cooking together all day. Once the cooking time is up, just pull out 6 uncooked lasagna noodles, break those lasagna noodles into smaller kind of bite-sized pieces, add them into your slow cooker, and then let this cook on high for about 40 minutes just to cook those noodles through. Now I'm getting started on the cheese mixture. This cheese mixture is fantastic. It's a 1/2 cup of mozzarella, 1/2 cup of Parmesan, and 1 cup of cottage cheese. Stir those 3 ingredients together, and that is your cheese mixture. Once your lasagna noodles are tender, you could serve this up. You could either stir the cheese mixture into the lasagna noodles, in the slow cooker, or you could dollop some of the cheese mixture over the top. That's just my favorite way to do it. Just, scoop some of the cheese mixture over the top. But we serve this alongside of some garlic bread. This lasagna soup is just amazing. I did serve it with a sweet kale side salad as well. This soup is 10 out of 10. You need to try this one. It's easy and so rich and delicious. Now we're making this deliciously easy beef stroganoff, so you're going to want to add about 2 tablespoons of oil to your pan on the stove. I'm using vegetable oil, and then you're going to want to use between 3 to 6 pounds of chuck roast or tender roast. Today I'm using tender roast just because it was on sale at my store this week, and it's a little bit leaner than chuck roast, so I actually do prefer tender roast, as long as it's cheaper than chuck roast at the time. But I'm just searing this on both sides. I seasoned it with salt and pepper, and the reason why I am searing it is just because it does create a rich caramelized crust on the outside, and it does build a deeper flavor. But if you don't have time to sear your meat, you certainly don't have to. I don't always sear my meat just because sometimes you just don't have a moment to in the morning, and that's fine. So sear your meat if you have time, otherwise you don't feel like you have to. Now into this bowl I added 2 cups of beef broth, a packet of brown gravy mix, a tablespoon of minced garlic, and a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. Just give this a little whisk, until everything is combined and the brown gravy mix is dissolved. Now right into your slow cooker you're going to add your roast, and then add 8 ounces of sliced brown mushrooms, as long as you're a mushroom fan, over the top, and then add 1 diced yellow onion along with the gravy mix. Cook this on low for about 8 hours, and then after 8 hours of cooking, your house is going to be smelling so warm, cozy, and delicious. Just shred up your meat and remove any larger fatty pieces if you have any, and then stir in about 3/4 cup of sour cream. And then after you're through stirring that sour cream in, you're just going to boil up about 12 ounces of egg noodles. These are the egg noodles that I'm using. You could really use any egg noodles, or really any noodles in general. Just cook those up in a pot on the stove. And then once your egg noodles are tender, you are just going to stir those egg noodles right into your slow cooker. Let those egg noodles get coated in the sauce, and then you could serve this gorgeous dinner up. I often get requests for child-friendly or kid-friendly dinners, and this one is definitely one that my little ones absolutely loved. If your little ones don't like mushrooms, just take the mushrooms out. But this one is so delicious, and like I said, my little ones loved it, my husband loved it, and I loved it too. We got snow in our mountains last night, so I've been craving this Zuppa Toscana soup. It's just so warm and cozy. To my cutting board, I'm dicing a yellow onion, and I am just cutting about 4 russet potatoes in half, and then I'm also thinly slicing them just like this. I'm leaving the skin on, but you could remove the skin if you'd prefer that. Now over to a pan on the stove, I'm adding 1 pound of sausage in there. I'm also going to be adding my onion that I just diced in my pan as well. Just break that sausage up, and you do want to cook it through. And then once you do have your sausage cooked through like the recipe before, for the lasagna soup, you do want to remove the excess grease because you don't want your soup to have extra grease in it. So just remove some excess grease from your sausage. Then you're going to add the sausage and onions right into your slow cooker along with about 4.5 cups of chicken broth. Add those potatoes in there along with a teaspoon of salt and a half a teaspoon of pepper. This recipe is so easy to throw together. It doesn't have any like complicated, strange ingredients. A lot of these ingredients, are just simple ingredients. But just give this a stir, let it cook on low for about 5 to 6 hours. You basically want the potatoes just to be fork tender. And then once your potatoes are fork tender and the cooking time is up, just stir in about 4 cups of fresh chopped kale and about 3/4 cup of heavy cream. Like I said, this recipe is very simple. Give this a stir, and then after about 20 more minutes of cooking, you want that kale to wilt down. You could serve this up. We topped ours with a little bit of fresh Parmesan cheese and parsley just to make it look pretty. The soup is so warm, cozy, and delicious. Like I said, we just got snow on our mountains, so I'm definitely going to be making this one on repeat all, season long. It's a good one. Now we're getting started on this creamy chicken pasta. This is another one of those dinners that my little ones just love. So this one's a really good one. To your slow cooker, add in your chicken, then add in a can of diced tomatoes with green chilies. If you don't care for green chilies, of course, just add in a regular can of diced tomatoes, and then add in 2 cans of cream of chicken soup. I'm using the Pacific Foods gluten-free cream of soups. I often get requests for like gluten-free recipes or like gluten-free substitutes. So I did want to show you, if you are gluten-free or looking for gluten-free, cream of soups, they do have it. It is the Pacific Foods brand. I've used it before for this recipe and it is good. But while we're not gluten-free in my house, I just wanted to show you guys that. But I added in my seasoning, salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and oregano. Just give this a stir and let this cook on low for about 6 hours. Once the cooking time is up, just cook up your pasta. I'm using regular penne pasta, but there's like gluten-free pastas, or you could use other substitutes to pasta. But now that my chicken's cooked through, I'm just shredding it up with my meat masher, and then I am going to add in a half a cup of shredded cheddar cheese and a half a cup of sour cream. This is going to make this super creamy and delicious. Just stir that in, and then once the cheese is melty, I let the lid sit on top for a couple of minutes to let that cheese melt down. But once it is melty, stir that pasta in, let that pasta get coated in the sauce, and then you could serve this quick and easy dinner up. This one is a total crowd pleaser. My little ones actually request this dinner. This is actually one of their like all-time favorite slow cooker dinners. It's just simple, warm, cozy, comforting, and it does have a lot of like basic pantry staples in it. So this one's also kind of like a go-to pantry staple dinner. You have to try this one. It's such a good one. This one is for my meatless meal friends. We are making minestrone soup. This is my favorite minestrone soup. I can't believe I haven't made it in forever either. I need to make it more often. But to your slow cooker, add a diced yellow onion, 4 large carrots sliced, 4 ribs of celery sliced, tablespoon of minced garlic, 28 ounces of diced tomatoes, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, and then add in 4 cups of vegetable broth. Then you're going to add in a 1/4 cup of sun-dried tomatoes. I really think those sun-dried tomatoes just elevate this recipe a lot. Add in a half a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, and then 2 bay leaves. The bay leaves add a lot of great added flavor, and then a teaspoon of oregano. Give this a stir, and you're going to let this cook on low for about 7 hours. Of course, nothing really needs to cook through except for those veggies, but you really just want those flavors to merge together. Once the cooking time is up, just remove those bay leaves, just because nobody wants to accidentally eat a bay leaf.
Anyway, now add in 1 can of drained and rinsed kidney beans, 1 can of drained and rinsed Great Northern beans, and then add in 1 zucchini that is cut into smaller pieces. Then add in 3 cups of fresh spinach along with a cup and a half of dientellini pasta. This is just like smaller pasta, but give this a stir, let it cook for about 30 more minutes. You just want the pasta to cook through basically at this point, and you know, the zucchini to get tender, but let it cook, and then your house is just going to be smelling so good at this point. You could serve it up. This is such a delicious dinner. If you are making dinner for a larger crowd, this is definitely a great recipe because it does make quite a lot of soup. You could also half this recipe easily, or this minestrone soup freezes fantastically. So I freeze this often and it reheats in the microwave or the stove great. So if you're just making dinner for one or, you know, a few people and you have leftovers, this one's a great meal to freeze. I often get requests for like pantry staple dinners. This one to me is very much like a pantry staple great dinner. So to your slow cooker, add in 1 pound of chicken breast. We are making my favorite queso chicken tacos. Then add in 1 can of diced tomatoes with green chilies or a can of Rotel. You know, basically the same thing. And then 1 cup of queso. You could use any brand or any type of queso that you like or have on hand, along with a tablespoon and a half of taco seasoning. Give this a stir, you know, get that chicken coated with the rest of the ingredients. Cook this on low for about 5 hours, and then once the cooking time is up and the chicken is cooked through, just shred up the chicken, and that is all you have to do. That is why I say this is basically like a pantry staple dinner. You could keep most of the ingredients in your pantry. It cooks up easily. It's very simple. And then we served ours as like tacos. I crisped up the tortillas on the stove for a little bit. I added diced avocado and cilantro over the top, but serve it however you like. We've served this over a bed of rice in the past, cauliflower rice in the past. We've served this over tortilla chips. This is just an easy dinner. You guys, we are less than 2 weeks away from my second cookbook becoming available. This beautiful book's full of like dump and go / minimal ingredient recipes, so very easy, delicious recipes. I'll be going live on here on November 1st, and I am signing the first copies. I'm also giving away kitchen appliances. So if you want to be the first to know, make sure you're in my email group. I'm sending them all, you know, the behind the scenes sneak peeks. So I have it linked below, but I'm so excited.
I have so many more videos like this on my channel, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next one. Bye for now.